Mantashe was leading a campaign to address the high cost of living in the Dula-Uma region in Cape Town. He says Ramaphosa was not referring to the quality of the work done by the DA councillors.
No, he didn't talk about councillors. He talked about compliance. Having clean audits. That is about compliance and audit. And that is about financial management. Only 8% of our council, of our municipalities that we lead have clean audits. That talks to weaknesses in our own financial management of councils. And there is no shame in that. We must talk about it and try to improve on that and improve our performance.
Mantashe says the ANC is focusing on improving its work.
The mistake we must never do is to do a program to decampaign a DA, to prove that DA is wrong. That is not the issue. The issue is to prove that the ANC is right. That is what we should be doing. Forget about the DA.
Asked about why the ANC is only taking action about the high cost of living of the people of the Dula-Uma region, Mantashe has dismissed the suggestions that the campaign has anything to do with the next year's local government elections. Abongwe Kobokane, ABC News in Cape Town.
The DA's 2026 local government elections will probably be the easiest that the organization will have to contest, at least from a messaging point of view. And why am I saying that? President Cyril Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa has already done all the hard work. I mean, communication consultants and strategists will probably agree with me that the best promotional strategy that you can come up with is the one where your own political opponent is doing your bidding for you. The president just acknowledged that DA municipalities are the best run municipalities in the country. And he said it with conviction, contrary to what the spin doctors will have us believe. You could see that the president meant what he said, and he said what he meant. No shred of doubt about that. I guess all the DA needs to do is just to run clips of President Cyril Ramaphosa on all media platforms, erect massive billboards with quote of the president saying DA is top of the pops. And that's it. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Now enter Mr. Mantashe Spin, the Honorable Minister of Minerals and Energy. I think this spin is the worst kind of spin you can ever think of. It is worse and more damaging to the ANC than what the president said. And to appreciate the depth of what I'm saying, think of a situation where you go to a doctor to see your medical doctor with some ailment, and you come back from the doctor worse than you entered the doctor's surgery. That's how bad the spin was. Yes, Mr. Mantashe is the latest to join the scramble to spin the president's Gaffe. Here is my critic and take down. I just want to point out to you, if you take it at face value, it seems like Honorable Minister Gwede Mantashe did some good job, but when you look closely, you'll see how terrible that spin is. And here is my takedown. The main problem with Mr. Mantashe's spin is that it downplays the impact of the ANC's lack of service delivery, and it oversimplifies that impact, the implication of poor service delivery from the ANC because of their incompetence and corrupt cadres, whilst reducing the DA's so-called good governance to nothing, just the balancing of the books. That is the biggest problem with the spin. Now let me start with what you've just seen on the video clip of Mr. Mantashe. The problem, my critique of it, he reduces the problems of the ANC to financial management. According to Mr. Mantashe, he claims that DA's service delivery is not the best. And why? And he says DA municipalities are only good at balancing the books, getting clean audits, meaning that there's nothing tangible that flows from that good governance. The only problem, and he says the only problem of the ANC is financial management. And the context of Mantashe is that financial management, the weakness of the ANC in financial management is just the inability to balance the books. It grossly underestimates the magnitude and scale of the impact of lack of service delivery from the ANC side. This oversimplification and downplaying of so-called financial mismanagement within the ANC ignores the impact of the appointments like those of Minister Mantashe's son to sit aboard. It downplays the impact that those wrongful appointments have on the employment prospects of young people in South Africa. The lost opportunity in terms of skills development and growing the economy. It also misses the point that there are lost opportunities on millions spent on the likes of the Deputy President Mashatile's mansions, 60 million. There's a lot. It can help a community in some rural area with the problem of water, for example, roads. There's a lot of tar roads that they can work on, they can deliver with that 60 million. Mr. Mantashe's oversimplification also misses the difference that the 20 billion rand stolen from the Gauteng Health Department recently, as reports have it, the hospitals, the clinics and roads that could be built from that money, billions of rands that have been stolen. It also ignores, Mr. Mantashe also ignores the lost opportunity to improve the lives of South Africans had the trillions that state capture siphoned out of South Africa's economy. This is the scale and gross oversimplification of so-called financial mismanagement by the ANC. Another problem that I have with that is that Mr. Mantashe spin doctoring. Another problem is that it normalizes and downplays the impact of their actions, of course. It normalizes the mismanagement. For example, the fact he mentioned a statement which was very, to me, very problematic. He said, we must be shameless. The only thing that we are not able to do as the ANC is just to get clean audits, because only 8% of our municipalities get clean audits. That is highly problematic. That really shows you that Mr. Mantashe and his ANC comrades are living in a parallel universe. They are clearly out of touch with the hardship that their corruption and lack of service delivery is causing. At least you can give CR17, maybe politically he took the wrong option. At least he pretended, and underline pretended, to understand the gravity of lack of service delivery from the ANC side. But on the other hand, Mr. Mantashe's spin reveals the true indifference of ANC, including the president, to the plight that are caused by their actions, to the plight that are caused by their actions on South Africans. Now, to sum it up, I want to argue here that the DA is a better devil than the ANC. The ANC is an existential threat to South Africa, whilst the weaknesses of the DA that I will come to are not an existential threat to the country. And remember, this is not an advocacy for voting for the DA. I'm not doing an election campaign of the DA. I'm responding on what Mr. Mantashe is talking about, because when you downplay this scale of corruption and mismanagement and lack of service delivery in the country, and reduce the positive, albeit with some weaknesses, the positive of the DA's good governance and service delivery, you reduce it to nothing. That is a wrong comparison. The ANC, if they still have ears to hear, they must listen to me. They are an existential threat to South Africa. I hate politics. I don't want to be a politician as such. I don't even have the qualifications. But I'm speaking out because I hate the ANC, because I see this organization is an existential threat to South Africa. The scarcity of water in Sandton, for example, epitomizes the scale of the collapse that the country is failing. The scale of the threat that the ANC is. If the ANC is allowed to continue business as usual, we will have no country to talk about in the space of about 5 years. If they are allowed to and left to their own devices. The example of Sandton, I'm not saying they're special than communities in Limpopo, rural Limpopo, that do not have water. I'm just saying that to underline the extent of the problem, that if Sandton doesn't have water, imagine what is going on in rural communities. And I know this, and I've got anecdotal evidence that many rural villages are coming together, as it has been the case in different areas. They are coming together to contribute the little resources that they have to provide their own water, to repair an impassable road because children need to go to school. That is the gravity of what Mr. Mantashe is downplaying. I will grant critics of the DA, and I'm one of them, that DA is anti-transformation, but not an existential threat. In DA-run municipalities, let me use Western Cape, money does go to intended purposes. Perhaps not in enough to deserving to communities that need it the most. But money does go to intended purposes. With the ANC, everything gets stolen. At best, you'll be left with a ghost project, or at worst, the entire budget will be stolen. So with the DA, taps still keep running. There is water. I mean, they beat day zero. It's not a small feat. They did beat day zero in Cape Town. And the worst that you can get, part of the problems with the DA is that they'll give you an all-male white team. And there are some in our country who wants to convince us that people who have got the skills are white people. No, it's not true. It's a lie. The only problem is that the black people that the ANC has gotten into this patronage network are supposed to play by the rules of the corrupt rules of the ANC, and competent black people are outside. Like Prince Marshall, I think, talked about that. What is happening within the ANC's patronage network, and there are sister parties, like splinter parties like EFF and MK Party, alienates good leaders from participating in the mainstream politics of the country. Jobs are created in the Western Cape. The infrastructure is maintained. That is why water is still flowing. That's why the roads are smoother. That's what the Auditor General says. It's not me. I guess this is what CR17 was talking about before Honorable Mantashe ably misquoted him. Now let me talk about the way forward, what we need. It's a pity that we are talking about the best case scenario being a party that is that is not pro-inclusivity. The DA. It's not the ideal party that we need in party that we need in South Africa. But let me be honest with you, they are the best case scenario. What we need in South Africa, actually, let me say, it's a pity that we are having to choose between anti-transformation forces that can deliver some basic services and struggle heroes that have gone rogue. Now, what we need in South Africa is are ethical leaders that we know are there in black and white communities come into the political space. I'm talking out because I'm not a politician. I'm in enterprise development and training. This channel is all about that. I'm talking about that because politics has become too dangerous to be left to politicians alone, especially the kind of politicians that we need. We need to have ethical leaders come into the political space to displace 2/3 of our parliamentarians who are rogue, who are involved in state capture in VBS one way or the other. One of the worst thing that is happening in South Africa is that politicians are recycling themselves, swapping T-shirts and logos for different ones, and then claiming, reinventing themselves, like the likes of Mayibuye. MK Party, ANC, MK Party, ANC, and EFF are the parties that got us to where we are. These are not the parties that will get us out. How I wish we had a new party altogether. I wish Action SA would be that party. How I wish we had a new party altogether with ethical black and white people committed totally to transformation and inclusivity. We need those kind of people to come into the political space and displace the rogues that are there in parliament, who are, to be honest, the worst risk that the country faces. Where are the Vusi Tembekwayos of our country? I know Vusi always resist the call to come into politics, but I want to ask the likes of Vusi Tembekwayo to say, if you are in a plane and the pilot and the captain and the assistant of the captain experience problems, or they develop some sickness, they are not able to pilot the flight, and you, Vusi Tembekwayo, And I'm using him as an example. There are many. You are the only one who can pilot a flight. Wouldn't you go into the pilot seat and rescue the flight? And what I mean is that South Africa currently is a flight that can drop mid-air. And it is time that good pilots, who may not be pilots by profession, but who know how to do the job to rescue the situation, they should come and pilot the ship that is the plane that is South Africa, which is about to drop. This is The Voice in the Wilderness. I'm your channel host, Rendani. Please like, share, and subscribe if only this resonates with you.